Donald Trump's cognitive issues continue to deteriorate. They were on full display during his disastrous meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, where Donald Trump could not walk in a straight line on the red carpet that he rolled out for Vladimir Putin. We captured it first on the Midas Touch Network, and it became a major national story after we pointed it out. You see him right here zigzagging. We sped up the footage so you can see it more pronounced, of course, but watch him zigzag left to right, left to right, left to right. He cannot walk in a straight line. That is a classic symptom of dementia. I'm not saying that he has it. I'm just saying that it would be consistent with somebody who does have dementia or other cognitive issues. We've been focusing a lot on this at the Midas Touch Network for many years now, the same way we've been focused on Donald Trump's connections with Jeffrey Epstein over the last several years since the founding of Midas Touch. We've pointed out that Donald Trump has massive cognitive issues. Donald Trump has yet to release actual medical records before he basically forged medical records from his doctor, Dr. Bornstein, who has since passed away. And Dr. Bornstein said Donald Trump forged those records, that Donald Trump dictated what should be in those records. And it said things like Donald Trump is the strongest person ever to take the presidency or something ridiculous like that. Donald Trump's most recent medical files that he published publicly were not reports at all. It was, again, appeared to be written by him, or at least with his influence, because it said things like Donald Trump's in great health as evidenced by winning many golf championships. I mean, that's not something that belongs in medical reports. Now, over the past 48 hours, we've seen also very alarming signs of Donald Trump's cognitive deterioration. Also on Friday, I had the ability to introduce, or Thursday, I had the ability to introduce California Governor Gavin Newsom, and he described Donald Trump's cognitive malfunctioning during a phone call that they had together. We've got never before heard details here on the Midas Touch Network, but I want to talk with you about what's just went down very recently as well. So you had Donald Trump in his press conference before saying he was meeting Putin in Alaska. He continued to refer to Alaska as Russia. He did this several times. Here, play this clip.
And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was.
All right, then let's not forget 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump went on the roof of the White House and he started talking about building nuclear weapons on the roof. He went out there. The press was the downstairs. They saw him up there and they said, "What are you doing up there?" And he said, "Nukes. We're building nukes up here." The press found it funny. I do not find that funny. I find it to be very serious and disturbing that someone in the White House is saying that they're building nukes on top of the White House and is clearly cognitively impaired. Let me show you what went down. Play this clip.
Mr. President, what do you want to build? What are you trying to build?
What? Sir, do you approve?
You saying more missiles?
Are you building missiles?
What? Come on, Dad.
That might be missiles.
Did you say missiles?
Taking over all of Gaza, sir.
Now, when Donald Trump went on the roof, he also started pointing around to the White House, to the grounds, to Washington, D.C., and he was saying, "This is my money. I bought all of this. This is mine. I bought all of this. Mine, 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 mine." Very weird. Shouldn't be normalized. Let's play this clip right here.
Looking good, Peter.
Are you going to build up there? What does that mean?
What do you? More ways to spend my money.
Can you give us another thing?
We'll show you. It's just another way to spend my money for the country. Anything I do is financed by me, so you know, it's contributed. Just like my salary is contributed, but nobody ever mentions that.
Are you going to add another level?
Now, we saw other signs very recently as well. Donald Trump was unable recently to open up a small black box. He struggled to open it up. Just watch. And again, it's pretty easy to open up this box. Here, play this clip.
Okay. So, you want to help us out with this? You didn't want to make it? Yes, yeah.
At the Kennedy Center event, remember that deranged event where Donald Trump was there with those two ladies in the evening dresses where he was talking about giving Sylvester Stallone an award while also spreading Putin propaganda? Remember, Donald Trump kept on saying the word grass. He said it like 8 times in 90 seconds. He's like, I'm going to make the grass so good in DC. Grass, grass, grass. Grass, grass, grass. Really weird stuff. Here, play this clip.
We're going to be redoing the parks, redoing the grass. You know, grass is a lifetime like people have a lifetime. And the lifetime of this grass has long been gone when you look at the parks where the grass is old, tired, exhausted. We're going to redo the grass with the finest grasses. I know a lot about grass because I own a lot of golf courses. And if you don't have good grass, you're not in business.
I don't want to also ignore the fact that the Trump White House has removed transcripts of Donald Trump's speeches. Because if you actually read them, it's very clear that there's no ability to put sentences together. Donald Trump just rants and raves like a lunatic, like you just saw there when he talked about grass. So they've removed the transcripts because when you read them, they're very, very alarming indeed. We can also never forget that Donald Trump would always talk about acing dementia tests, about giraffes and tigers and whales. Here, play this clip.
But I said, well, I'm good at tests, so what's the story? He said, well, the problem is, people will find out, and if you do badly, it's not a particularly good thing. You don't want to have some guy get like a disaster. I said, well, is that a hard test? It can be hard. I said, look, I got to take it because I got to shut it up. And I took it, and I aced it. I think it was 30 questions. And let me tell you, they always show you the first one, like a giraffe, a tiger, or this, or that, a whale. Which one is the whale? Okay. And that goes on for 3 or 4, and then it gets harder and harder and harder. And then it's multiplied 3,293 times 4, divide by 3. They have plenty of tough stuff. But those last 15, 20 questions.
Donald Trump is known to give speeches where he talks about the genitals of men. Donald Trump was saying how Arnold Palmer, this was a speech a year ago or so, where Donald Trump said that he went into the shower, or people would go into the shower and they would see Arnold Palmer's penis and they would say, wow, that's really big there, Arnold Palmer. This is how Donald Trump's mind is working. Really sick stuff there. Here, play this clip.
But Arnold Palmer was all man. And I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here.
With interest rates expected to drop, you could save a ton on everything you finance. That's great news, right? But here's the thing. To cash in on the savings, you need a higher credit score. How, you ask? With Smart Credit. On average, Smart Credit users raise their credit score up to 34 points in just 30 days. Now imagine it. A lower car payment, better mortgage rate, and major savings. Smart Credit's patent technology scans your credit profile and pinpoints exactly which bills to pay and when to maximize your score. It's like having the best credit knowledge in your pocket. Don't wait. Take control of your credit score with Smart Credit and be ready to cash in when interest rates fall. Start with your 7-day trial at smartcredit.com/Midas, and for just $1, see how many points you can add to your credit score. That's smartcredit.com/Midas. Average point changes are based on historical data. Individual results may vary and are not guaranteed.
Now, I want to remind you as well that during Trump's first administration, there was a time where he was rushed to Walter Reed Hospital. Many people were suspecting that he had mini strokes at the time. Trump denied that he had mini strokes, but a lot of the symptoms that he showed were that of someone who has mini strokes. Here's a world-renowned doctor, David Shiner, who was Obama's former doctor, and he talked at that time that he thought that Donald Trump may have had mini strokes. Let me show you this. Let's play it.
His inability to say words sometimes worries me tremendously. He is having trouble word finding when he said United States instead of United States. These aren't words. These aren't slips of the tongue. These are words, he can't find them. And this is happening over and over again. Comedians joke about it, but it's not a joking matter. I think there is a neurological issue that is not being addressed. And if he had an MRI of his head over there, I would be very pleased because I think he needs it.
Is that
I
something
think
that
he
could have
may
happened in the
possibly-
2-hour time he was there?
Yes, it certainly could. And it's the worry that I have is that maybe he's having small strokes. And, we had that once before in the White House when Woodrow Wilson was president. His inability to find words is peculiar and has not been explained. And I think one has to think of it as a possible neurological issue.
Now, Ronnie Jackson, when he worked for Donald Trump, when he was a doctor, now he's a MAGA Republican deranged Congress member, he brought up on his own, he says, no mini strokes, which oftentimes when they deny things like that, it kind of gives away the game. Let me show this to you. Let's play the clip right here.
There was an incident recently where the president appeared to slur his words while giving an address. Did you look into what the cause of that might have been at all?
I did. Yeah, we talked about that, and actually, one of my ENT consultants was involved in that. We evaluated him. We checked everything out, and everything was normal. We even went so far as to do an ultrasound of his parotid glands and a few other things, and there was absolutely no clinical findings that would suggest.
Also, over the past week or so, Donald Trump has continued to try to get on top of the roof. It wasn't just that one time I showed you there from a few weeks back. Last weekend, he tried to go on top of the roof. The Secret Service was waiting for him. We know that from the White House press pool. The pool was informed that Donald Trump headed to the roof. We are positioned now outside. It appears he canceled going to the roof, but the Secret Service and security is still holding in place in case Donald Trump shows up on the roof. I mean, really, really bizarre behavior. This was a video we made here at the Midas Touch Network about how it seems that Donald Trump has at least the symptoms of frontotemporal dementia. But tell me what you think. But I laid it out here the same way I would lay out a case to a jury. Again, all my opinion, but let me know what you think. Let's play this clip right here.
And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal.
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
the late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? Although it's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words,
The failing New York Times by anonymous, really anonymous.
struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
And then finally, I had the opportunity to interview California Governor Gavin Newsom recently about his conversation that he had with Donald Trump before Donald Trump sent in the National Guard into Los Angeles, and Governor Newsom described the horrors. This has never been revealed before. Newsom talked about the horrors of what happened in that call, how Donald Trump kept on talking about MAGA hats. He kept on dwelling on his debate with Kamala Harris, and he kept on talking about how he comes up with original nicknames like New Scum. Here, play this clip.
This is a guy, people look up to the President of the United States. I mean, Mr. President, it's time to act like one. This is real life. It's not reality TV. And you got to model better behavior. But I think it's sad. And I think it's even worse than you just described. And I'll just give you a specific to that. When Donald Trump was just, a day before he was to federalize the National Guard here in Los Angeles, he called me. We talked on a Friday night, late at night. And all he wanted to brag about the New Scum thing. He said, it's pretty funny, isn't it? He goes, pretty original. I said, well, it's not original. There was this guy, Maurice, I can't remember his name, but he used to say the same thing. He goes, hey, what about my hats? What do you think? It's a pretty good brand, right? MAGA. It's pretty good. I've sold hundreds of thousands. I mean, I'm like, are you serious? Are we seriously having this conversation when you're supposed to be reading me the riot act about keeping people safe in Los Angeles? You never once talked about the National Guard. You never wanted to talk about what happened in LA. It's much more alarming than you think. And that's why what is happening in plain sight, you need to see for your own eyes. We've got to pay attention. This guy is unhinged. He's getting weaker and weaker by the day. You saw that with the new inflation numbers that came out, the wholesale numbers that came out today. You're seeing that with an economy that's slowing down. You see that with the crony capitalism, where he's extracting and nationalizing businesses, socializing, dare I say, some of America's most iconic businesses and doing 15% extractions. Ask NVIDIA how that feels. Look what's happening in this country to truth and trust. He's trying to censor historical facts. He's trying to rewrite history in the Smithsonian's. This is one of the great grafts and the great corruption that we've ever seen in U.S. history. Billions of dollars have been fleeced from the American people, it's right in front of us. So this is a serious moment. It requires seriousness of purpose, and it requires us to fight fire with fire and play by a new set of rules. And I know that's hard for Democrats. I know, trust me, I'm one of them. But this is a real moment of peril if we do not stand up.
So right before he's about to send the National Guard and then the military into Los Angeles and California, all he wants to talk about. Yeah, that's some really sick stuff indeed right there. So again, you see the zigzags, you see all of it for yourself. Really strange, really dangerous stuff. And we'll keep you posted every step of the way, of course, here on the Midas Touch Network. But let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.